All the carpenters are out there laughing at those cuts, I'm sure. This is one of my favorite parts about working in the yard in the summer. When I go to fetch something from the garage, I can grab a wholesome snack of peas and cherry tomatoes from my garden. Imagine that. It's awesome, man. Peas and cherry tomatoes. Morning snack. Doesn't get any better than that. Hang in there. Life is good! Well, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to another edition of NTS Adventures. Well, hello my good girl. Well, we're doing something a little different on this episode, my friends. And I actually wasn't going to do this, but I got encouragement from 3 people that said I should do a renovation video. Now, full disclosure, I do some renovations in and around the yard here, but I'm no means, I'm going to get that out there right now. Haters be haters. I'm by no means a carpenter or a professional landscaper or a professional renovator in any way, shape, or form. I'm just an old retired guy who likes to tinker. So if you see errors, I would encourage you to comment. I truly would. But in the meantime, let's talk about what we're doing. Follow me, everybody. So here we go. Last week, my wife and I bought this beautiful sauna, barrel sauna. We've been looking for a sauna for about 5 years now. Well, longer than that, truthfully. But really getting serious about it in the last 5 years. But with the current economy, we just simply haven't been able to afford one. After all, I need money for gas for my boat. So we decided that we're going to buy it. So we bought it. Now, as you can see, it is a little bit worn. We use the word worn. Now, in fairness, the guy who I purchased this off of is a first responder. Great guy. Matter of fact, him and a couple of his buddies, along with my friends Kevin and Mark, we loaded this thing onto the trailer at his place and got it here. I'll tell you about how I got it off the trailer in a little bit here. Anyway, I digress. So, bought this off a guy who's a first responder, busy guy, super busy guy, busy with all sorts of extracurricular activities after work. Didn't have time to renovate it. So I told him, you know what, I'll buy it and I'll do my best. So here it is, 100% cedar. And as you can see, the inside needs a little bit of work. Not too much actually, but it does need a little bit of work. I got to do a little bit of crack repair, hole repair, which I have a plan for. I've already tightened these turnbuckles because they were loose just like these ones were. But these straps here didn't have turnbuckles. We'll talk more about that later. When we go back to here, again, some more minor repairs that need to take place. I will deal with that. Again, I do have a plan for that as well. And this is where the stove goes. We're going to talk about the stove this morning actually. My plan to fix it and then tidy it up. And we'll talk about the floor and we'll talk about the exterior a little later in the show. Now, I don't know how many days this is going to take. I truly don't. Those of you that are retired can appreciate that we don't really work off schedules, loose schedules, if you will. I'm thinking, I'm putting on the calendar 3 full working days. And this is day number 1. My objective today, sand the stove, paint the stove, because it needs a 24-hour cure. Then I'm going to power wash the inside, take the old benches out, clean up the old benches. Then I'm going to level it. I'm going to level the entire sauna. And then I'm going to put in some strapping, kind of like a batten of sorts in the floor to secure it. You'll see when I get there. I've been giving this a lot of thought lately. Again, I purchased it last week. Had to make a quick trip down to Toronto to visit my sister. So I had lots of time to think about it when I was down there, and talked it over with Annette last night, and we have a game plan. So for those of you that are my regular viewers, apologies. This isn't the regular thing. If you don't like it, I dig it. Anyway, here we go, everybody. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun doing this. Hang in there. We all might learn something together. All right, day 1. Today is July 23rd, 2026. Phase 1, we got to get rid of this, take the stove off this trailer, and we're going to give it a bit of a sanding, and then we're going to paint it. We're going to paint it with a high heat stove enamel, obviously, which is going to require a 24-hour dry cure. Then it's going to require another cleaning after that, exterior cleaning, and then it's going to require a burn, and then it's going to require another 24-hour rest, and then it's going to require another burn. Why are we doing that? We're doing that to ensure that when we light a fire, none of the toxic chemicals that are attached to or adhered to that polymer paint on the outside, they're not going to burn off in our lungs. They're going to burn off in the air, and that's what the manufacturer's recommendations are. You'll probably see this whole process, but for now, let's get her off and take a look at it. So here's the wood burning stove that's going in. As you can see, it's a little bit rusty. I'm guessing the previous owner used it as a wet sauna as well, so that will happen. But we're going to tidy it up this morning, no problem at all. Got a cap for the chimney. We'll be using that later. Now this here is the rock box. Now it was silver and higher when I purchased the stove and sauna. They were together. I had my good friend of 35 years. He's actually my neighbor now. He's really handy. He's actually a qualified material tech. So what he did is he cut it down and he cleaned up some temporary stuff, and I asked him to put on a screen, which those of you that are hardcore sauna-ers, I guess, is that what we call them? Sauna-ers? Sauna-ers. Or people who sauna? Yeah, we'll call people who sauna. We'll understand that. Especially, I don't know the type of rocks he has. Let's go over here. See, I Google's, what's that program where you take a picture of it and Google tells you what it is? My wife did that. And we think these rocks are going to be safe. But just in case, because again, I don't know how hot the previous owner got it. And again, my wife and I like really hot saunas. We're crazy. So I want to make sure, just maybe for the midterm, until I see how hot I can get those rocks. In the event that one does crack, I put a bit of a chicken wire on here. This is kind of my own idea. I've seen other people put like heavy duty wire gauge on there. But I'm thinking this is going to be temporary. I'm just trying to establish whether or not my rocks crack or not. If they don't, after a little while, I may take it off. Or for good measure, I may just keep it on. If it's not bugging us, who cares? I mean, it's not worth losing an eye when you're enjoying a sauna, right? So anyway, he's cut it down in half. He's then he was gracious enough to actually get the first coat of high heat paint on the side. And so then I'm going to just carry this off, because what happens is, I'll show you guys. And again, I hope I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence. I know some of you probably sauna all the time and know saunas. The rock box is going to go on like that. And there's some screws here. I'm going to pilot hole that. My friend JC was nice enough to do some holes for me. So all I got to do is drill some holes on the exterior wall of the stove. And my rock box will be solid. Fill it up and I'll be good. Okay. So that's the concept of the wet sauna. Put your fire in there, heats up those rocks, put half hour, 45 minutes, and you go in and just put a little bit of water on those rocks every time you want more steam. Lovely. Very, very good for you too. Very, very healthy. Truly is. Those of you who don't believe me, you can do some research. Saunas are really good for you. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get sanding and spraying. Okay, I think that is enough with the wire brush. Didn't take too long. Cursory cleaning, if you will. I think I'm going to go grab some sandpaper just to finish it off, and a wet cloth to wipe it down before I paint it. I'll be back. Hang in there. This is one of my favorite parts about working in the yard in the summer. When I go to fetch something from the garage, I can grab a wholesome snack of peas and cherry tomatoes from my garden. Imagine that. It's awesome, man. Peas and cherry tomatoes. Morning snack. Doesn't get any better than that. Hang in there. All right, we'll let that dry, and then we'll hit the paint. All right, I tried to make those coats as light as possible, as per spray painting protocol. I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'll put a second coat on, and we'll leave it till tomorrow, and then we'll do our first burn. Okay, over to the sauna itself. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull these benches out, and that way I can give them a really good spray down when I get outside. I'm truly not worried about them being, I guess, dirty. It's just I'm going to wax these with maybe a paraffin wax, and in order for me to do that, I want to get them out. It'll be easier for me to work on. So we'll give that a go. be tapping in there or not. Maybe. I might get lucky here. It might just pop out. Scores. And you see it's a bit damp in there. I'm guessing that's just from airflow. This board here is a little bit decayed. I'll go sand that down. I'll show you guys how I plan on filling those holes later in the video. I have an idea. And over here is the same. You got a little bit, yeah. Got a little bit of decay in here too. You can see where somebody tried to caulk this. The problem with caulking in a hot sauna, I'll get out of there so there's no echo. The problem with caulking in a hot sauna, you got to use a very specific type of caulking. And when I get to the caulking phase of the video, we'll talk about that. I'm guessing by the way this is pulling off, it's not high heat. Again, not a criticism. I don't know what the situation was or who did it, but it's not good. So I got to clean it up. These boards here are, I'm catching them just in time, truthfully. Cedar's very resistant to mold and mildew and decay. That's one of the reasons why it's used in saunas. Not to mention the smell is awesome. But I think I caught this one just in time. I'll show you. It's a little bit spongy in the center here. A little bit spongy in here. But I'll be able to dig that out a bit. It's later in the project, but I'll be able to dig that out a bit. Let that air out, and then I'll be able to fill that. That's not terrible though. Like I said, I think I'm getting this just in time, honestly. I think another year or two, this might have been crossing the threshold of beyond repair. But I think I can do it. I think I can do it and just save this right now and get a good 10 years of use out of it. Hang in there. Where are you? All right, a couple of points of interest here. Number one, the previous owner, or owners, I'm third owner, drilled some drain holes here. I'm not using this as a bathhouse. What I mean by that is traditionally, a lot of the Scandinavian people, in conjunction with a wet sauna, they'll have a bath in here, meaning they'll sauna and they'll have buckets of water, sometimes warmed on the stove, sometimes just on the side, getting warm in the natural environment of the sauna. Soap up, wash off by dumping over buckets of water or using a ladle, and then letting all the water drain. And we used to sauna like that back in the day up in Northern Ontario when my dad had a hunting and fishing resort. He had a traditional wet sauna / bathhouse. And you get real clean and you feel real good and you sleep real good. But Annette and I aren't using this as a bathhouse, if you will. We're gonna sauna in here, wet sauna, get hot and steamy, and then go in the house and clean up. Why am I saying this? Because that means I can plug these holes up here. This might have been part of the reason why the previous owner was having a hard time getting it warm in here, because and he specifically said in the wintertime, well, that's a pretty big hole. That's about a 1 3/4, maybe even a 2-inch hole on the elongated side, and another looks like maybe 3/4 or 1 inch hole there. In other words, 4 centimeters and 2 centimeters. That's a lot of cold air coming up through there. Anyway, we'll take care of that. Moving on, we're gonna do some pressure washing here. Hang in there. As with any project, your time appreciation goes right out the window as soon as you start working. I thought this was going to be a 10-15 minute job, but no, I'm noticing that if you can see here the contrast between the clean cedar and the dirty cedar. There's a lot of dirt on there. I mean, I'm guessing the sauna is probably 10 years old, in around there, maybe 15, so that's a lot of sweat and debris that's coming down there. Also, I noticed that this board here is significantly rotted, but it hasn't punched through yet, so I'm hoping I can still save that. I have a couple ideas, maybe some board and batten over it or something, but I'm going to be careful about covering that because it's going to need air to prevent any more rot. Anyway, I'm going to take a break for lunch because I'm going to be at that for probably another half hour, 45 minutes. It's the way she goes when you're doing projects. Hang in there. All right, lunch is finished. Time to get back to spraying. Gonna clean her up real good so I can get on with leveling this thing today. That'll be the final phase of my project for the day. Let's get at her. All right, that was about an hour of pressure washing combined. I mean, I could probably get a little more picky with this if I chose to, especially down here, but there's going to be a floor in here, which is right over there. This is going to be covered. I'm thinking of doing board and batten for those boards there, because the problem is to repair those boards, and I know a lot of you are thinking, well, just repair them. Number one, price of cedar right now, or I'll talk about how much I paid for 3 1x4x6 and a little bit. Outrageous. Plus there's that natural curve in it. And with the barrel sauna, it's banded, right? And those cedar boards, they just kind of naturally get bent as it's being built, and then it's strapped down and it gets wet and it swells. So to pull one of those boards out, it'd be a lot of work. And it could, again, I'm not a barrel expert because essentially this is just a big barrel. It probably could compromise the structure. So that's what I'm thinking, board and batten down there, just to provide some extra security on the structure, and then put the floor down. But for now, we're going to let that dry for a couple days. I'm going to spray the floor and the seats real quick, and then we'll start leveling. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to level this. I don't know if you can hear me over Annette's mowing of the lawn. She shouldn't be too long, but anyway. So if you guys look down here, you can see this cradle here. That's the original cradle that came with it. Now, what I ended up doing while this was on the trailer, again, I had 6 or 8 people help me load it on the trailer, but when I got it here, I didn't have that many people. Actually, I had nobody, and I didn't want to bother anybody, so I had to figure out how to get it off myself. So what I did was I built around the existing cradle this skid. So essentially, it's just 2x6 pressure treated. Again, it's just 2x6 pressure treated, but I just attached it to the existing cradle with some lag bolts, put a bit of a ski cut on the front there, and then I dragged it out here with the winch on my side-by-side, slowly, 10 feet at a time. Dragged it, moved the bike back, dragged it, moved the bike back, etc., etc. And it worked. We got it here. Now, you can see the cradle itself isn't in great shape. It's going to need replacing next summer. My brother Kevin has a sawmill, and he's going to be able to cut that to size and the curve. We think he'll be able to do it in one full piece, i.e. not using 4x4, but we'll see. But at any rate, I have this design right now that we can actually lift. I can jack up the barrel, just the barrel itself, because it's not attached to the cradle at all. The skid is attached to the cradle, but the barrel is not attached to the cradle. So I can lift that up and I can skid this whole thing out. That's why I designed that way, for 2 reasons. 1, to get it in position, and 2, in anticipation of the future of knowing I have to replace that cradle next year. So I'll be able to jack up the barrel, skid that out, put the new cradle in, and when I put the new cradle in, I don't have to worry about the skid. The skid is just there as a temporary solution for next year. Not a big deal. I hope that kind of makes sense. So that's what I did. But in the meantime, I'm going to have to level this. This is about 3.5, 4 inches too low in the back. So what my plan is, my buddy JC, the guy who's helping me with this renovation, brought me over a nice old PT 4x4, which will suffice perfectly. I'm going to be able to dig that out and put those under the skids once I jack it up. Now you guys can see here, I put the level on. I get the level on. You can see the level. I got to go up about, if you look at the back there, pin it right about there. And you can see roughly 3.5, 4 inches in the back. So probably 8, maybe 10 centimeters. So that's what I got to try and do. I'm going to jack this up. I'm going to get that 4x4 underneath there on both sides, and that'll do the leveling, basically for the length of the sauna. Now I might have to do some leveling for side by side here. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, let's get to leveling. All the carpenters are out there laughing at those cuts, I'm sure, but I didn't feel like dragging out my miter saw, and you know what? It's just for blocking and leveling, so it's just blocking for leveling, so I'm not too worried about it. Plus I plan on concealing the crib and the cradle with some lattice, so I won't even see it. So forgive me. Forgive me. Oh, that was lucky. What was that, 3 or 4 cranks? Pretty close. See if I gotta go up one here. Just a little bit more. Where's that bring me? Oh, a little further the other way. All right. I don't want to take away too much here because there could be a little bit of settling, right? I mean, not lots, obviously, but... Babe? Not kidding. Yeah.
You know, the only one who's going to appreciate that is our children.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you thought about doing it like that?
All right. I'm going to put a little bit more security there. I think, yeah, I mean, obviously that 2x6 sideways like that is an incredible amount of strength and can support this, obviously. But just to be secure, my wife always says I'm the king of overkill. I'm going to put another, maybe I got a couple pressure treated 1x3s. I'll slide under there just to keep it nice and even. And as you can see here, just on a side note, this is just kind of a test piece. That's kind of my lattice. I'm going to end up using something similar to that along the side just to kind of conceal the temporary cradle slash skid fix, if you will, for next year. Hopefully you guys will still be watching next year. Anyway, let's get this bad boy up here. Got one right here. Probably just cut her in 2. Very cool. Okay, so on the right side here, you can see it's quite a bit lower. So I think I'm gonna have to take the time to reposition that jack, because this is gonna have to come up a little higher. Or maybe if I just lift that higher, it might settle. I don't know. What do you think? Let's just crank it up a few more and maybe I can just jack it up a little higher on this side. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. Again, leveling is its own little animal altogether. For those of you that do this sorts of things know how tedious and time consuming. But in fairness, I don't get too excited about it. And what I mean by that is my dad and I, he's passed now almost 3 years. We used to have this discussion all the time. He wanted just perfect. Anything we were doing, patios, we built a sauna back in the day, stairs, it had to be perfect. And I would say, Dad, one winter, that perfect level of yours is going to be gone. And a lot of times it was true. It was a funny debate we used to have for years. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it close and we'll see what happens next winter, over the winter and the spring. But like I said, I'm really not freaking out about it because Kevin's going to build me a new cradle over the winter anyway. At least I hope he is. Right, brother? Okay. I have to punch, put a 2x4 here maybe. 2x4 and a 1x4, I guess they're called. I don't know. No, I'm thinking maybe 2 2x4s. I guess for that matter, I could probably put another 4x4 in here, can't I? If I do the math on that. Oh, the carpenters are laughing at me. Oh, the carpenters are laughing at me. That's okay. If you're a good carpenter, please give me some tips. All right. All right. 2 4x4s, 2x4, a 1x4. Well, it's really a 3/4 inch, I guess. But all right, let's bring this jack down and see what happens here. This project is not This project is something I have to do. It's something I want to do, which is the beauty of retirement. You can do things you want to do. Because for many years, I did stuff I had to do. And some of the stuff I didn't want to do. But it was my job and I did it. But here, I don't have to. Where am I going with this story? I really have no idea. It's getting late and my back is sore. Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, oh. Whew. Dad would be proud of me. But in the spring, it's going to be not level. Oh, Christ. All right. That's perfect on that side. How did we make out over here? Let's take a look. Oh, 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 oh. I don't luck out like that very often, my friends. Honestly, I've had a lot of bad luck with projects over the years, particularly when it comes to leveling. I'm pretty stoked with that. That was going to be my task for the rest of the day, and I accomplished it already, so that's a good thing, because I think, what we got here? I think I got time to do one more task, and then I'll call it quits. Hang in there. All right, one last fine tuning on leveling here before I move on. As you can see here, there's the cradle there that goes under it. And back here, I just had this extra support board. Now what I want to do is I want to get a 1x3, or sorry, a 1x4 underneath there, just to distribute the weight. And the reason why is because this is the stove hole. And we moved that stove this morning and it's heavy. So I'm thinking that's going to make it a little bit heavy on the one end here. So my thinking is if I can just get one little 1x4 underneath there, so there's at least some support between here and my improvised skid. You guys follow me? That way that's going to be a little bit. Now I'm hoping when my brother makes a new cradle, he's going to be able to maybe put it 3 arms on it. So in other words, a little bit closer this way for the main arms or the main cradle, and then one more in the middle. So three tiers, if you will, if that makes any sense. Anyway, let's hit this on. Okay, last task of day 1. Now, I don't know if any of you know anything about barrels. I didn't know anything about barrels until recently. I got educated through my friends, and I got educated through reading and watching YouTube. Essentially, what happens is, let's go outside and do it. The barrel is conformed, the planks on the barrel is conformed to the diameter of the front and the back. So meaning that's the initial contact point, be the back and the front. And then those boards are brought up into this part here, the front. And then the straps are put on and it cinches it up. Now, I don't know the exact barrel making procedure in a barrel sauna factory or anywhere for that matter, but I do know one thing, that when this thing is put together, the wood is usually fairly new, so it's going to be tight. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll wet it. They'll put a sprinkler on it, because what they want, once the strapping is on, so they put the planks on, they put the strapping on, and they tighten it up, then they wet the whole barrel. It's going to collect that water and it's going to expand nice and tight into the straps. Now, when I first got this, every strap was like this. Like this. Again, not being critical, the previous owner, he's a busy man and he just didn't have time to take this project on. That's why he sold it. But he did, or there was rather, 2 of the straps with turnbuckles already fastened. I don't know the exact name of these. I prefer them as a turnbuckle. I'm probably wrong, but correct me if I am. So I moved them up because they were underneath, just dangling, and I moved them up to a position where I could, and I tightened them real tight. Now I have a couple other straps here, ratchet straps, if you will, that I've put a couple ratchet straps on there temporarily, because my friend JC, I'm going to take these straps off here, this one, and this one. The end ones aren't too bad. Now, my understanding is putting these screws in, whoever did that, first owner or second owner, not a good idea, because it needs the ability to move within that, i.e. expand and contract. When I first brought this barrel home, there was a lot of gaps in it. Now, the previous owner had it in his lot, southern exposure. It got a lot of sun, tons, all the time. So even though it would rain, it would dry out very quickly. It's part of the reason why I put it here in the shade. Yes, and don't worry, I am going to trim that area for the stove pipe, but that's for a later day. But back to the barrel, my wife and I decided this is the best place. Well, aesthetically, we wanted it in the yard back here, and because the shade, we're hoping it's going to be able to retain that water a little longer. We had a couple real heavy days here in the valley when I was down in Toronto, and when I came back yesterday, this whole thing there was gaps in the boards. They're super tight now, which makes me happy, because all that rain got into the wood, and made it swell. So that's a good thing. And it's also a good thing because every kind of thing kind of conformed to the existing straps that I tightened, and the ratchet straps that I put on temporarily. I don't know if that makes any sense, guys, but essentially that's how a barrel is made. Whiskey barrels, big barrels, sauna barrels, etc., etc. Anyway, neither here nor there. So my job now is to make sure that it stays nice and tight, because that's the way barrel works. Now, what I've done the other day, and I didn't video it because I just got encouraged to make a reno video of this recently. But what I've been doing is I've been taking this rubber mallet, and I've been going around and I've been driving these boards in or out if I see them exposed. Like, for example, here. It's tedious, but after a while it'll settle in. Now, I realize some of them just won't go because they're conformed that way permanently, and I don't really want to force it. But in a couple cases, examples like this one, for example, here, I come around on the inside. Where was that board? Yeah, right here. I might be able to punch this out. Wow. Now that moved, but I'm talking probably a millimeter. So it's taken a lot of work, and I don't want to overkill it for a couple of reasons, because I don't know how this thing is going to settle now that it's retightened and when more rains come. So I'm not going to get too carried away with that right now. I'll wait until the new straps are on and tightened up, and maybe when I tighten up the new straps, it might cinch those up. If not, that's okay, because I can live with them the way they are, as long as they don't bulge to the point where they put a gap between the boards, which they haven't yet. Anyway, let's take these straps off and call this a day soon. I cut that strap right there because it's too short anyway. And I'm only going to put 2 more on it. Because I got 4 on it already, 2 more of 6. I think that'll be plenty. This one I got to cut 2. But it's big enough that it won't affect it when JC welds the turnbuckles on. Good. There's 1. And that's 2. All right, well, let's do a quick review. Got the benches sprayed, got the floor sprayed, straps off, sauna's leveled, and inside pressure washed, ready for further renovation. And obviously we'll get some wax on that, or some sort of sauna oil, to be determined. Anyway, if anybody has any suggestions, seriously, let me know. As you can probably tell, I'm not a very skilled craftsman. I'm okay. I mean, I get by. I've built a couple things. I built that she shed over my shoulder here for Annette a couple of years ago. I did that. I've built, well, pretty much everything in this yard, including that kitchen, the concrete slab, etc., etc. But it's not professional work, guys. Honestly, it's not. I just do this to tinker and have fun. Anyway, tomorrow afternoon, plan, it's going to be outside. I'm going to start staining. I'm hoping, I'm just going to be realistic about my goals with this project, and I think tomorrow afternoon will take all afternoon to stain the outside of that. And then we're going to leave it at that, and then we'll see what happens after the stain is on. We'll go back inside, because I want to give the inside a good couple of days to dry out before I reinforce the floor and basically rebuild the floor. Not the subfloor, or this floor rather, but the main floor, the barrel. I'm gonna rebuild that. Strengthen it up, if you will. I'm thinking board and batten, but if anybody's got any better ideas how to strengthen that without having to pull those boards out, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. All right, we'll see you on day 2, everybody. Colin out. Day 1, job done. Life is good.